All right, Friday, man.
So here we go. Here we go.
We're all dressed formally, though, except for Harrison. Harrison, the only guy that pulled it off today.
He looks like
You guys haven't figured it out. I wear the same thing every day.
Lululemon. My guy's a Lululemon's man. What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR show.
Let's go.
Big game against the Knicks tonight. Let's go.
You're late to that one. That one happened last night. We will give some hangover takes. I can't wait to hear what D-Line thought about that game. I only heard him for the entirety of the game in real time. Maybe he's hungover today.
That's actually not true. You only heard me for a very small portion that I went downstairs to eat. You know what? We'll save it.
We'll save it for the show. We're also going to do a little check-in on the West. And then what do you know? Jokic Embiid 2 tomorrow. Does it have the same, emphasis? Are we as excited for it? Are we nervous now? Are we more nervous? What does it mean? Will Jokic even play? All of that and more today on the show. To help me out, I got him. The man, the myth, the legend, Marty Stauffer in the house.
Yeah. 3 ducks today. I caught 3 ducks today.
If anybody in the chat catches that reference, let me know. Nobody does.
No
Nobody
one knows who Marty Stauffer is.
And over here,
Google it
Al
right now.
Borland.
That's right. That's a home improvement joke. What's up, guys? Glad to be here. Just so everyone understands, in order to understand the intro to the show, you have to be listening to 5 minutes before the show to know what we're talking about, because Adam makes private jokes public.
He does do that a lot.
I am never concerned with whether or not someone gets the joke. That's the thing. And then over here, Harrison Witt.
I'm very lost right now. I have zero idea where any of these references are coming from.
You're such a spring chicken sometimes. I don't always remember that,
Yeah.
So youthful.
I was
Harrison.
sheltered as a child.
Sheltered as
No
a child.
cable TV until high school.
No, this is the thing. It was PBS. Wild America was PBS. You didn't even have, because I didn't have cable
I
either.
did get PBS for sure.
Tell me.
I don't remember Wild America.
You were too busy watching garbage shows. Though.
That's so true, man. Wild America.
I know Arthur, such a garbage show.
You were born like you were definitely watching like Jerry Springer, things like that. They're available over the antenna, but which has led you into your trash TV adulthood.
So that's actually true. That's actually, we can follow this. He was talking about a lot of Bravo shows and different things he's into. No, I'm telling
Jerry
you guys,
Springer.
Wild America was a phenomenal show back in the day. Do you guys, know how I always know so much about animals?
Yeah, I do know that about you.
You're an encyclopedia.
Did you guys see last night what happened to me?
The owl.
Yeah, I did see that.
Well, because I didn't see if you guys liked. There wasn't a like from you guys. So I thought maybe you didn't see it.
I didn't like it.
Kale
I just saw it.
Kel liked it. My guy over here. There was an owl on the roof. He sits there a lot. He was really hollering last night. Guys, the Nuggets lost to the Knicks yesterday in what was an total ass whipping. Is that that's the biggest loss of the year, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the worst loss of the year.
It's probably the worst loss in a while.
Not like worst loss. It was the worst they've looked in a loss.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me because, we were talking about this earlier, but it wasn't like that big of a deal. Like I wasn't that bothered by it, which is kind of funny. Why some games you're more bothered by than others. It just felt like the Knicks brought more energy. But we didn't have D-Line on the post-game show. We always like to do a little hangover take scale, a little hangover there. Now that we have Alan back, what was your big
You're
takeaway?
definitely Alan.
I hate that I made that graphic.
Like there's nobody else that could be Alan.
just so you understand how selfless I am in these pursuits. I
So
put myself in
selfless,
that
dude.
situation.
So true, dude.
My hangover take. So it just why none of us, including myself, are very upset about the ramifications of that game is because it didn't mean anything. It was an Eastern Conference opponent. It has very little impact on the ultimate standings. We saw what the Nuggets can be when they are at their apex. And frankly, they were literally hungover. They were like at the end of the game when they showed MPJ on the bench and he was like yawning because he was tired. I was like, what are these guys doing, man? Like they're young guys. They had an extra night in New York. It meant something to the Knicks and it didn't mean anything to the Nuggets. Clearly they came out with the most fraudulent effort. No one could hit anything. except, of course, Nikola Jokic, who is a consummate professional because he actually views this, for better or worse, as a job. And
somehow it makes it more focused.
Somehow, like, he just showed up to actually do his job. Nobody else showed up for work.
Yeah.
Jokic got his eye gouged out and still dropped 31 and hit every shot after he got hit in the eye. It made me even more somehow impressed with Nikola Jokic, and it reminded me that no lessons were learned last year except for the worst possible lesson that is they don't care about the regular season. They do at times, but not every time. And that is what it is to be an NBA fan. Sometimes you just get served a healthy dose of reality that you are reliant on other people for your happiness, and sometimes they don't care.
Malone always says, Yoke's more of a lead by example kind of guy. He sets the example and other follows. But to D-Line's point, Yoke brings it every night. He's pretty consistent. Not the case of many of the other guys, including last night. So is that a limitation of the lead by example? Nobody's following the example sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a lead by example type guy, you can definitely lead, and then it's kind of up to everybody else to follow. Like, that's on everybody else. But nobody else followed last night. Maybe except for Peyton Watson. I thought he played a good game.
Yeah, I agree.
He actually had energy. I was like, maybe he couldn't get into the club. I checked. I literally checked his age. I was like, is he 19? Is that what happened?
He's 21.
He just turned 21, so he's not.
Good joke, though.
It was a good joke.
It
wasn't a joke. He literally looked it up as evidenced by the
Yeah.
fact that he knows he's 21 now.
Yeah, no, it was. That was not a joke. I cannot be convinced that the Denver Nuggets did not show up hungover to
They
some
definitely
degree.
did.
Yeah.
They definitely did.
Yeah. It was just a pretty pathetic effort by everybody not named Nikola Jokic, though. Like, on a 0 to 10 scale, they gave a 1 effort.
1. If that.
And I think the Knicks aided in that. I mean, the Knicks were great.
Dude.
They were
They were
absolutely
we
locked
can
in
tip our hat.
defensively from the opening tip. OG Anunoby took Jamal Murray out of that game early. Michael Porter Jr. wanted no part of it.
Never showed up.
It was just the Knicks raised the intensity up to a level that the Nuggets just wanted nothing to do with, and that was pretty obvious.
The Knicks reminded me, because they just traded OG Anunoby, and they're a good team. They reminded me of the Nuggets in the immediate aftermath of the Aaron Gordon trade, where there was an excitement, there was an energy, and when you say the game didn't matter, it mattered to them.
Right.
It didn't matter to them any more than it matters to the Nuggets, actually, but it felt like it mattered to them because they have this vibe going of, man, we're kind of good right now. We're actually sneaky good, and it's just when you're good and there's something new, it's exciting. And it's just Denver was, for whatever reason, completely and wholly unprepared, or perhaps they knew and they were just like, we're going to suck tonight. This is going to suck. But whatever it was, the difference between those two teams in that specific game was ridiculous.
Yeah, unless it all sounded like too much cope here, I hated watching it. You know, there's a difference between the big picture is sort of left where it is and you're not too worried about things, and like, oh, it was fine. You know, no one's really fine watching the Nuggets mail it in and lose by 40, which I think I saw in the chat. The guys on TNT said is the biggest margin of defeat in the Jokic era. I'm not sure if that's true. I'd have to look that up, but you could convince me because it's big enough. Yeah, so no one loves seeing that. But I think there is something to, like, when a game is that bad, you walk away and you go, okay, do I really think that's who this team is? Absolutely not.
Right.
If they keep rolling out performances like that, you hammer them for it, you know, you start getting concerned. But I think you look at this one in the meantime as an outlier of, and hopefully an example of, hey, fellas, like, this is what it looks like if we don't bring it. This is what it's going to look like.
I don't think the Nuggets learned a lesson.
I don't
from
think
that
so
one.
either.
No.
I don't think so
We've
either.
already said there's no way they can learn any lessons this season.
No.
There's no lessons to be learned this year.
They played
I'm
near
sorry to
This
break
year
the
is
news to you
hilarious.
guys. There's no more lessons.
Dude, they
I
played
don't
near
know.
this level for a month leading into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they just won the championship
Yeah.
by losing 4 games. The other factor at play is that tomorrow, a very big game in our minds is happening, and both the Nuggets and the 76ers got blown out last night. The 76ers also lost by like 30 points.
Trap game.
Trap game, yes. I do honestly think that both of those squads were looking past their opponents last night towards this matchup on Saturday. But also, I just think the Nuggets were at the end of their road trip and they just wanted to go home.
Yeah. I think there's a really good theory here. I'm gonna throw to wind here, but all right, at Philadelphia, this road trip at Philadelphia, that's a big game. You're locked in. Guys aren't going out. It's like, hey, this is a big one. We need to be there. They come up short. Then you got to bounce back because you have Boston, another big game. Boston's a city maybe guys go out in. Not this time. I think it was focus. We got to be that. Then you go to Washington. There's nightlife there. I don't know if Washington's like a place people are excited to go out. Maybe, maybe not.
There are more exciting things in Washington than the Wizards.
But what I'm saying is, was that a game where guys were like out
George
all to the
Washington
middle of the
Monument?
night? Maybe, maybe not. Then you have Indiana. Definitely weren't going out in Indiana, I don't think, on a
Going to get
Tuesday.
St. Elmo's. Good.
Dude, St. Elmo's, man.
Get some shrimp
On a Tuesday.
Some good
Shrimp
shrimp
cocktail.
Shrimp cocktails.
I
yeah.
feel
little
like on
overrated,
this
I
road
will
trip,
say.
this might have been a
course.
5-game road trip where 4 nights the team did not go out. And you're talking about 22-year-old millionaires, and they were like, "Dude, I haven't been out for 7 days. Like we're in New York
going
City,
out.
man.
Man.
We are going
I'm
out
itching.
tonight.
We're going. Yeah, dude. The
I'm gonna
city.
be in by 4 a.m.
Yeah, the city does not sleep, and then the Nuggets did go to sleep on the court.
So it just might have been one of those. So I think it's a trap game. Harrison, do you agree that it was a trap game?
So I don't believe in trap games.
What?
I believe in teams get up for certain games and don't get up for certain games. That's absolutely a thing. But I don't believe in trap games in terms of players looking ahead on the schedule to a team 1 or 2 games away. And I just don't think NBA players think that far in advance. I really don't, man. I know this for a fact. There were players on the Nuggets in years past where the team was leaving for like a 3 or 4 game road trip that day. And these players had to go back to their houses after practice and pack for said road trip before the flight.
Yeah.
Like they showed up to the facility to the practice that day without packing for the 3-game
I
road
see your
trip.
point.
Then had to be reminded that there is a road trip happening and then had to go home and pack and then meet the team at the airport. I just think NBA players live day to day to day to day. And I don't think they look ahead like that. I could be wrong, but I just don't think they think of the schedule that way. I do think they get up for certain games. They get up for a Philly. They get up for a Boston, unlike them getting up for a Washington. But I just don't believe in trap games. I don't.
Do you believe that they know when they're going to LA?
Maybe. Yeah. I could see that.
Set some stuff up, throw some feelers out
I'm just
there.
saying, you think they show up and they're like, oh
Yeah.
man, I should have planned for tonight. Or
Right,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, we're in LA next week. All right, let me make some calls so I make sure this trip
From
goes.
the third phone.
Exactly how this trip goes for me the way I want it to go.
Yeah.
I will meet you halfway, Harrison, and say that if you going to Washington, I don't think anyone on the team knew they were going to Washington. When they played Indiana after that, I don't know if anybody on the team knew they were going to Indiana. And it's even possible that people didn't remember they were playing the Knicks. Maybe they knew they were going to New York. Nets, Knicks, not sure. I know it's one of those teams out
I
there.
think it's like, oh yeah, we got the Knicks on our schedule coming up later this month, right?
Okay. But I think they know the 76ers game is Saturday and it's on ABC and it's a matinee game. I think that so I can only meet you so far as to say there are games where I think the team collectively knows this one's big and it's coming up. And I think Saturday is one of those games.
I mean, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I think that there are very few games that have meaning to them anymore.
I hate it.
I think that I know I hate it too. I'm disgusted by saying this, but I just think that it's the truth. Like that doesn't mean that games can't be entertaining and the regular season is worthless in that it shouldn't be watched and we should truncate it and get rid of games, et cetera, because it's still fun to watch. It's still fun to there's still things to pay attention to. There are still narratives that happen within the team. You still see the dynamics that play out, like is Michael Porter Jr. getting the ball from Jamal, et cetera. Like it's worthwhile to watch these regular season games if you indeed like watching basketball. But a night like last night, it is hard to get that worked up about at this stage in Nuggets fandom because now that we live rings culture. We're rings culture only, baby. But the Nuggets, they showed you that. They literally showed that to us last year. So it sucks. A game like that, you just crumple it up, throw it in the trash, and you chalk it up to these are a bunch of kids, and kids are not reliable.
I do think, I'm with you guys about the larger point that how open are their ears right now? How receptive are they to these mini lessons along the way? But in moments like these, I am particularly glad that the head coach is Michael Malone. He's not going to let this go, but I think he's done a lot of work over the years in learning how to keep the bigger picture in mind, not white knuckle his way through every moment. But there's also, fine, we on this panel can be complacent. The guys that aren't Jokic seem complacent. There's a level to which you can go, that's all logical or acceptable. But there has to be one person, at least, maybe hopefully two, between Jokic and Malone who go, hey, that's actually not okay. That's not the standard that we hold ourselves to. And the next few practices and the next, film session, they're not going to be kind, right? And again, you can't overreact, and I think he's learned that too. But you need, I think Malone takes pride in every single game in a way that maybe the players just can't. And so hopefully he's the one applying the pressure.
I think that is one of the sneaky things about Malone that maybe the audience, the fans on the outside don't know, but it's something that we know from being around the team. And Harrison can speak to this a lot, that Malone really does. Every game was big for him. That last game, humiliating. Stewing over it and this or that. And I do think that it tethers the team to a seriousness. By the way, Chris Finch, opposite of this. And I know that not that there was tension between Malone and Finch or anything like that, but I do think that there was two very different personalities that were sort of in key roles with the Nuggets back in the day. And it was Finch, man, nothing bothers him. He's just such a relaxed guy or whatever. And Malone's we got to stop the corner kick through three and rotate. And so it was an interesting dynamic. And every coach kind of is somewhere on that scale. I think Malone might be, him and Tibbs, are they at the two most extreme on that scale?
Yeah. They seem like they're definitely cut from the same cloth.
The intensity scale, they're both.
Is
Malone
Tom Thibodeau from New York?
He's got to be.
There's no way he's not.
He could be
right?
a Chicago guy, maybe.
He's got to be from New York.
He's like a cartoon boss.
He's from Connecticut, New Britain, Connecticut.
He's an East Coast guy.
Yeah, but that's not New York, though.
Yeah, Connecticut is much softer, for sure.
He's softer.
But he's East Coast.
Yeah.
He really
he's in the
He just seems like a boss that would yell at Fred Flintstone. He's just like a cartoon, just like a weird little guy that would run, hey!
And there's a balance to it, too. Don't get me wrong. You can overdo it. And when they won the title, Murray said that Malone's area of growth was finding this balance of learning not how to lose your GD mind across a long season, but also I think there's the other end of that spectrum, which is players who probably don't mind a large handful of the losses. So the balance is important, and I just think it's where Malone is maybe a good fit here.
Malone's kind of a dying breed in that way, right?
I don't know, because Mosley with Orlando, young coach, but I remember that was one of my takeaways from being courtside was how freaking intense that guy is.
Yeah.
Jumping and now squatting. He burned 2,000 calories coaching that game. And I was just sometimes I was just watching him. I was like, bro, this guy.
Most of my takeaways from being courtside were Reese's peanut butter cup based. Popcorn. It
was pretty good.
Yeah, just a lot of food
great.
And drinks in and around your mouth.
You want another?
Yeah, dude,
I do actually.
Very easy to get drinks.
Yeah. But the largest point here is that the Nuggets were playing exceptionally well. They showed up and showed out in Boston for what I still believe is one of the most impressive wins that any team has had this season. And you get a performance like last night, which is just so aberrant and so ridiculous that you truly can't draw anything from it until it reveals itself as some kind of trend. But it's, are you going to tell me that Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. are going to combine for 12 points moving forward and not be able to make a single basket, get outworked, out-hustled, punked, embarrassed? I mean, they just were non-participants. So you just, after a loss like this, you have to chalk it up to, that was stupid. They just didn't show up.
But usually it's every other game, so this next one should be good. Let's take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk about it. Jokic Embiid 2, Nuggets Sixers 2, Maxi Murray 2.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
Does it have the same gusto?
Maxi versus Maxi Minor. Let's go.
Ooh.
Guys, if you're going to Vegas, maybe going to see a sporting event, maybe you're just going for a trip with the fellas, you got to stay at Circa Resort and Casino. It's where we stay when we go to Vegas, and it's awesome, man. You got everything at Circa. First of all, it's Vegas's first ever adults-only casino. You show your ID when you go in, so you don't have to show it again. No kids, none of those shenanigans. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff in Circa. You got the world's largest sports book, perfect casino, all the games you want, all the tables you want.
As a parent, somebody with beautiful kids, the idea of a casino not allowing kids in is incredible.
Yeah.
It's really great.
I like the idea of a family who shows up with their kids. Yeah. Their kids can't get in.
Got to stay on Fremont.
Works just fine for them.
Yeah, they're like, just figure it out.
Yeah, they're street kids now.
Mom and dad,
Fremont has them.
They're not alone.
Yeah.
It's a full...
Just put a hat on the street and start dancing.
It's a full Oliver Twist situation. They could probably get some stew somewhere.
You got Stadium Swim as well.
Oh, it's a read. Sorry.
143 by 40-foot LED screen. The best place to watch sports is at Stadium Swim. So if you're heading out to Vegas, use the code DNVR20. Get 20% off your stay at Circa Resort and Casino. There's no place I'd rather stay in Vegas other than Circa. I mean, the rooms are awesome.
Facts.
Super nice. Probably the nicest room I've stayed in Vegas. Located a little off the strip, but I mean, it's perfect.
Fremont Street, baby.
It's a great time.
It is the literal crown jewel of Fremont Street.
Yeah.
2 years running, fellas. It's come around that time of year. It's my sister's birthday. I'm not sure what kind of gift to get her. And she's been talking to me about a show she wants to go to, but she can't find tickets. And both times, I found them with Game Time. I didn't just find them. I found good prices. And so I am now the coolest older brother, at least for another year. And I can always get myself into the best events in Denver, like the Denver Nuggets, for example, when they're not playing on the road, or the Knicks.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's a good time. I mean it, I promise. The Denver Nuggets, they're dope. So is Game Time. Best events, best shows, best tickets. Even at the last second, download the Game Time app right now, create an account, use code DNVR. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase.
Wind, have you ever broken news while sitting in this very chair?
Maybe.
Oh, I'm just wondering what Yoke's status is for tomorrow.
The injury report just came out at 3:30. It's 3:39 right now.
Were you doing the ad read while breaking the story? Was that
shortly before?
That's
I
incredible
tweeted it out.
versatility, this man over here.
Yeah.
I'd be impressed, but I've been talking and designing graphics that then went on the show more times than I'd like to admit.
Around the association?
Listen, you're all impressive to me.
You made that while being on the show?
No. That took time. I spent my time with that one.
Okay, not that one.
Nikola Jokic officially probable.
Let's go.
So expected to play versus the 76ers. Left eye abrasion is the official injury.
Man, that's scary. Left eye abrasion.
Abrasion?
Do we get goggles Jokic, though?
Bro.
We're not worthy.
Goggles Jokic, I think, would be cool. Glasses like Reggie, where they're kind of more glasses than they are goggles, would also be kind of cool. Although I will admit, Jokic would look pretty goofy on them. But eye patch?
There's no way we get eye patch.
Is it even allowed, eye patch?
I don't think it's allowed.
Why would he do that? Why would he do that?
Because it's freaking awesome.
Nobody's ever done an eye patch before. There's no way.
Did Kurt Rambis do
an eye patch? No, he did goggles.
He wore goggles. Like
Yeah,
his
good
whole
guess.
career.
Come on. I think it would be really cool. The game's tomorrow, you guys. 3 o'clock. It's a matinee, and it's on ABC, which, not to get into the weeds on this, but the NBA this year has been doing a lot of these ABC games, and then they have ESPN ones later, and they try to, like, make... It turns out it's very confusing. The other day, I sat down to watch a game. I'm not even kidding, for All NBA, and then some other show came on, and I realized that the game was on ESPN, the lead-in.
Yeah.
And then I missed the first 10 minutes of the game, and I was like, what the hell, man? This is so dumb. Anyway, it's on ABC, which should be marquee. Are we as excited for this one as we were the first one? What are the feelings?
Well, if we hearken back to the Bet365 top 5, we all agreed with a bullet that this was the #1 game that we were excited for during narrative week. This is the one that should, by all rights, carry a lot of weight. It feels at this exact moment in time like nothing means anything, and we've become very nihilistic about the Denver Nuggets because they put us all in a dark place. But yes, dude, do you remember what that, like, that's going to be a very, if nothing else, entertaining game. Like the last Sixers game we were all nervous about, obviously. Didn't end up going the way we wanted to, but we were locked in. So if for no other reason, I'm excited to see a game that they care about. You know, like, does it...
So you're more interested in just... because you perceive this to be a game the Nuggets are actually going to play hard in.
Yes.
You feel almost certain they will, so you're excited for that part of it.
Yes, and I want them to beat the Sixers. Like, they can't get swept by the Sixers. This is narrative week, man, and we're in the narrative BA. Like, this is all that matters, is what people are saying, and we live online, and so our lives are terrible, and so we need as much ammunition as possible to battle back the hordes of those who would try and strip away the honor and dignity of Nikola Jokic.
What about you, Vogt? Do you feel the same feelings that you did? Different? What is it?
I'm excited. I think I'm a little less nervous excited because it's in because it's in Denver.
Oh, you just felt more confident in the team.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Sixers are a good team this year, man. Like, beating them in Philly when they're hyped for the game is tough. And honestly, the more I thought about that game as they walked away from it, the difference to me, besides a sloppy down the stretch play from Jamal, was role players hitting open shots at home versus on the road. So I'm excited, man. I like, Embiid hasn't played here in a long time, man. And
2019, I believe.
I think also being excited about watching these two guys play can exist outside of the MVP context. They're just the two best centers in the league.
Yeah.
And it's very fun to watch them play. And I think as far as team success goes, there's a decided answer right now as far as who you'd rather have. Head to head, Embiid's been really damn good. And I'm very curious to see how this matchup goes, but I don't know if I have quite the same, like, anxious excitement as I did before the Philly game.
You know what's interesting? You just said they're two of the best in the league, or the two best in the league. I think they might be the two best since Shaq.
Yeah.
Because the only guy that has a case, in my opinion, is Dwight Howard. You know, Mark Gasol, Pau Gasol, those guys to me are a lower tier for sure. Dwight Howard, personally, I'm like, Embiid is better than Dwight Howard. Yoke's clearly better than Dwight Howard and has a title now to back it up and 2 MVPs. Like, to me, I think it's the two best centers for 20 years.
No
yeah,
question.
Man. I mean, absolutely. If the NBA knew what they were doing, they'd be hyping Nuggets 76ers as the matchup of the year. Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid are, I think, pretty clearly the two best players in the NBA right now. They're the two best centers. They're the two best centers, like you said, that we've had in the league in a long time. It's such a natural rivalry that the NBA would be so foolish not to make this just the headline 2 games of the season, right?
Right.
Like, this is as big as it gets in the regular season for the NBA. You go through an 82-game regular season. There are great games all along the calendar. On paper, Nuggets 76ers is as good as it gets.
Right.
I really do believe that. Like, these games are appointment viewing. You know it's going to be a good game. Like, Nuggets 76ers, these last several of them, they've been great games. You know, they've been close. There's been drama. There's been great performances on both sides. That's what's most exciting about it for me. You got all these factors coming together. Jokic and Embiid, Nuggets 76ers, the natural rivalry there. But you also just know it's going to be a great game.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
I want to see if Denver changes up their defense. And if so, what do they do? Because if you recall, the last one, they really had what I thought was a very unique strategy. They doubled Embiid a lot, one pass away. They put Aaron Gordon on him. It just was a very strange, and the Sixers are very good. They've really learned under Nick Nurse how to get Embiid in his spots and to make it so that those doubles come hard. But I'm curious if Denver learned anything from that, if they have adjusted their game plan and their strategy at all, or if they're like, you know what, we just need to play harder. We need to go out there and do this. I want to know if Yoke guards him a little bit more. I think that would be interesting because I expected it to happen in the fourth quarter. They opened the game with it for about 4 minutes and then switched off and never really went back. Do they go back to it this year? Do they try something else out? Those are the things I'm most interested. If this last game, if you recall the last time they played, I talked about how Embiid no longer guarding Jokic as he stopped doing at halftime of the previous matchup.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened was Denver didn't run Embiid. He didn't get tired because he's guarding Aaron Gordon. It just made it easier for him. The Pacers just played him. And Siakam and Turner are, you gotta laugh, somewhat analogous to Jokic and Gordon. And
You fool.
in that, Turner is a guy that you would think was Embiid going to match up on him. They did a good job of getting Siakam switched out onto him and then making Embiid guard on the perimeter and then making it a track meet in transition. They did a good job of that. Embiid was excited. It's funny, if you do watch the analysis from this, like the PHLY guys on this last game, the analysis was same as us. They weren't focused, man. They've been playing well last few games. They weren't focused, and Embiid looked really tired. He just wasn't into the game. It's been a long stretch of games. And I'll give it to him just the same way if we're going to make that excuse. But I'm so curious to see, why doesn't Embiid play in Denver? What's the number one reason, really? The altitude's tough. Why did they come out to Fort Collins to do training camp? Their own GM came out and said, we want to train at altitude and get, our guys familiar with pushing themselves in this. Can Denver run Embiid in altitude, knowing that if he's not guarding Jokic, Denver hasn't figured out how to make him get up and down the court? So I'm curious to see that as just a stylistic change.
I thought they came out here because Daryl Morey was a big micro brew guy.
Is that what it was?
That's
had
what
a
I
different
heard,
story.
actually.
I also
heard
don't
something
know if
different.
training for a week at altitude before traveling the country, like in different city every other day.
I think it does.
Does it?
Four practices?
I think the Nuggets have to reacclimate every time they get back from a road trip.
I'm not saying it does everything, but I think it does. It's a harder challenge.
Well,
you have less oxygen. You got to push yourself.
Sure,
It's-
yeah. I don't know if it adjusts you to the.
I mean, the question is like who gets, if they do turn it into a track meet, who's more tired, Joel Embiid or Jamal Murray?
Sad is that?
Off the top rope.
Bro.
Well, it's true. I mean, listen,
Maxie, you're right. He's a little Energizer bunny.
I'm serious, man. Like, they should. I will be. I don't know what to expect because I wasn't on that show, but I listened. I actually do watch the show, and I'm not on it sometimes.
Oh, shit. Really?
Yeah, I hear what you say. I heard the things.
We'll try to be a little nicer.
But
We didn't mean all of that.
well, yes, you did. You texted me the same thing. The point is that you guys were talking about how you were all surprised that they tried something new defensively without enough lead up time. And obviously it wasn't coached well and they kept making mistakes.
It wasn't that they tried something. It's what they tried.
It's not common for, at least in the Malone era, it doesn't seem that common that they have specialized defensive schemes and schematics that they roll out against specific
Right.
partners. That's kind of a theme in the NBA, is that you don't really tip your hand until you're forced to.
Unless you're the Thunder for some reason, who adjust
who
every
just
game.
constantly adjust. So
Mark
from that
D.
standpoint, I you just wonder if the adjustment is that they go back to how they typically would defend a team like that. They do rely more heavily on just good old-fashioned playing hard and reacting and reading and switching and doing the things that they typically do without trying to be cute and ultimately losing Maxey a million times, giving him wide open three-pointers. So I expect an adjustment in sort of like a regression back to the mean. Like
We're going to play it more straight up.
they just play it more straight up and they just kind of go toe-to-toe and see how the chips fall.
So this game to me, for some reason, I do have I'm a little less nervous for whatever reason, even though if you ask me, here's a concession I'm going to give. So the Sixers fans can clip it. 2 games in a row now, Embiid has kicked Denver's ass. Honestly.
Yep.
And
I don't think there's any debate
There's
there.
no debate about it. And there's no, like the MVP part of this, I think is less compelling over time. I think Embiid's probably going to win it. If he lowers his games total played, it almost sucks for everyone because then we have, you don't want to win this by default. So I think we're almost past the MVP portion of this matchup. But I just think that there is something important about don't get your ass kicked a third time.
Yep.
Right.
And it's not one player, although it is like a head-to-head who's outplaying him. But Embiid goes for 45 points again tomorrow in Denver's building. I just feel like that is actually, you say these games don't matter. That's one thing that will matter, even though it doesn't ultimately matter. It'll matter in this one part of like, what is the Pedro Martinez? You're going to have to tip your hat and call him daddy. And I just don't want that to happen. And I hope that Nuggets as a team, not even Jokic, but the Nuggets as a team are like, we can't let this dude go off on us 3 times in a row.
Look, because if that happens, there's always going to be this thought in the back of your mind. I'll just speak for myself. In the back of my mind, what would happen if the Nuggets and 76ers met in the finals?
I'll tell you something. That part of this is almost different from me. That part just feels different because we've seen too much. Like somebody was telling me the other day, it was my buddy Spike, Embiid has no fear of Jokic. And I go, neither did Anthony Davis. He kicked his ass. It doesn't matter. So part of me looks at this and goes, the playoff part of it is so different that I don't even put my mind there. It doesn't matter.
But at least for me, I would love the Nuggets to eventually play the 76ers in the finals and beat them.
Sure.
Just because I want Jokic to check off as many boxes as he can when it comes to rivals of his era that he beat in the playoffs.
I like that.
You know, he's beat LeBron, Anthony Davis, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. I want him to beat Joel Embiid. I want him to check off that box. If Embiid cooks the Nuggets again, I'll be a little more fearful of a finals matchup against the Nuggets and 76ers, but that's just me.
Also, there's a limit to the slack you cut them for a long season, any given game, all that stuff. But there are certain things I think you want to see teams, particularly champions, take personally, defending champions. And I think Embiid is there now. He's dominated them 2 matchups in a row, right? And you could make an argument that they were ready to win that first game, but it did not work out that way. So I just think pride should enter that equation. I also think it should enter that equation they probably don't care the way I do, but OKC has beaten them twice on their home floor, right?
Right.
Like that's another one to
Just
me
generally home court, you're saying?
Yeah, just generally speaking. And then next year too, the next time OKC comes to Denver, like I actually do hope they circled that one. And I
Right.
feel the same way about this Embiid game, not just because MVP, but like you guys are the standard right now. You are the championship standard. And Philly doesn't fear you. Like strike some fear into them.
And yeah, 100%. And there's also the thing of just like, it's weird to compare the head-to-head matchups over time, just because they're spaced out over like 8 years.
Totally.
But because I think it's 5-2 in favor of Embiid, and then you go back and look at it, and it's like, well, 5 of those took place before 2019, and almost all of them in Philly. So there's this weird thing. But this is one where it'd be nice to say, no, you won the last 2 in Denver. The only one time you lost in Denver was back in 2016. I think it was the rookie year. They lost one game. Let's not count that one. But outside of that, you could say like, no, okay, you win the home games. I just think, again, does it mean anything? No. For me personally, the reason I disagree about the playoff part of this win, Jokic murdered Bam Adebayo every regular season they play. That's an East versus West team. And they murdered him because the Heat like to play Bam Adebayo straight up defensively because he's a really good defender. Jokic goes to the post, shoots little jump hooks, gets 30, 18, and 18 every time they would play. And I thought, Jokic owns Bam Adebayo. Then you go to the playoffs, and they start fronting and doubling and doing all these different things. Jokic still went off because he's a great player, but he went off in a completely different way, and it was a challenge. I thought going into that finals, Jokic's just going to post up Bam and score all these jump hooks. And it was like, no, playoffs are different. You adjust and you force guys in different ways. Jokic was able to answer that, but he didn't dominate in the ways he does in the regular season. And I just think for me, that's what the playoffs are. But this is to bring it all back. This is why the regular season matters, and it's why things used to matter. Mm-hmm. I don't think we are more knowledgeable about the pointlessness of an 82-game season now than we were in 1998 or 2006. I just think guys used to care a lot more about sending messages to each other in games that didn't matter beyond the game themselves. Just this sense of, you know what, they're coming to my building, you beat me last time, and I'm going to send a message, and I get to just own that.
See, I think that we are going to see that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I think that there are a large number of games that you can file under the meaningless header, but tomorrow does not qualify. I think that even in myself sitting here right now thinking about the game, I don't have any emotion. But I think that has more to do with the weather. It's today, yesterday, last night.
I'm not drinking coffee tomorrow. That's
last
for sure.
night was just such a nightmare. You just had to emotionally disconnect because you can't be that heavily swayed by a game like that. I know that when the ball is about to be tipped off tomorrow, I'm going to be a ball of nerves.
Also, there's more pride in this with Jokic than we
totally
acknowledge, and it might just manifest a little bit differently than 1v1 ego v ego. I think for Jokic, it's the expectation his teammates have on him to deliver in these matchups. And I can tell you, because Vlaco has told me, Jokic hates when he does not deliver for his teammates. He hates it.
Yeah.
He's, as much as he is, our champion of work-life balance, that doesn't mean in the moment he's okay with having come up short against these guys,
Never.
right? And Anthony Davis is the most famous example, and it was important to Jokic to get over that hump. And I do think that not that this is a hump in their path to team success, but do I think Jokic wants to come up, let's say, short a third time in this game?
Right.
I know that he doesn't.
And I think the Murray piece of this also, we're going along on this segment, but the Murray piece also, do you remember the story Bones told us about Yoke going to his hotel room and putting his finger on the peephole so he couldn't see who it was? And then basically, if you remember, when the Nuggets won in Philly 3 years ago, Bones was a big part because he went off in a key part, and he showed up for Yoke in that moment. And Yoke went to his hotel room, which was a very rare occurrence. He was not expecting it, and basically told him, thanks, buddy, for like showing up tonight. We know it matters. Which brings in Jamal Murray, who did not show up this last game, the last time they played each other, and he sure as shit didn't show up in New York. That one to me is a big one. I want to see if Murray, this matters to Yoke, it matters to the Nuggets. Does it matter to Murray? Does Murray go out there and is like, I am not letting him Maxey going off, and I am not letting us lose this game because I know it matters. And I'm so curious to see. I think it'll be a character reveal for Murray. It'll be just how good is he at this very moment. Not how good is he going to be in the playoffs. How good is he in this moment? Because this is a game where he should step up and be one of the best players on the court and not just one of the guys. All right, let's take a break. On the other side, let's get quickly into a quick check-in on the Western Conference, you guys. We haven't done this in a while. Let's check in.
Guys, if you want cheap gas, Circle K is the move. Woo. Check out the Inner Circle program with Circle K. It's free to join, free membership. All you got to do is put your email and phone number in at circlek.com/inner-circle. You can hit the QR code right there on the screen too. When you sign up, you get 25 cents off a gallon for your first 5 fill-ups. First 5 Polar Pops are free. Also, other deals on pizza, beverages, donuts, much, much more. Also, when you sign up at circlek.com/inner-circle, you get a free any size Polar Pop from Colorado Circle K by texting DNVR to 31310. So if you're going to pick up gas at Circle K, you want a free Polar Pop, text right now, DNVR to 31310. You
That's
get a free,
so dope.
He's gonna
any
free
size Polar Pop. Boom, right there.
What would you get? I would go suicide. One of every kind.
What are you, 5?
I love that was your answer. I love it.
Suicide?
You gotta go Mountain Dew.
Is that what it's called?
I didn't know that's
You
what
didn't know
it's called.
that?
I didn't
Bro,
know.
this is an Era's thing. A
I've never heard
suicide
that
where you
either.
just get something.
Suicide.
You know,
heard that.
Dude,
listen,
these kids, I'm telling
when
you, we
you-
have
well,
great
first of all,
childhood.
no, like when you
We just didn't call it.
Rudo, do you know what a suicide is with a fountain drink? There you go. Rudo knows.
I like how he said yeah, and then you said with the fountain drink, and he corrected his answer. I thought you were just going to explain.
Rudo knows
Okay.
everything.
Suicide.
Vogt knows nothing.
That's what I was getting at. Yep.
It's a little darker than we want it to be, but all the same. No, listen, when you say it out loud and when you question it, yeah, it's a dark name. Listen, the 80s were darker than you are. We're tougher than you are.
Do you remember OK Soda?
Yes.
Was like,
OK
everybody's
Soda
like, it tastes
was
like a suicide because it had a
it
little orange in it. Yeah.
It's what it was. They combined all, anyway.
Okay, soda.
Oh,
These kids had
That
no.
sounds like a terrible name for a soda.
It was a terrible
It's
name for a
just
terrible
okay.
soda.
You didn't grow up through the slacker era, man. It was cool to not care back then. You had
Crystal
soda
Pepsi.
names like OK Soda.
You're right.
It was okay.
Yeah,
It was the slacker era, brother.
That's a great take.
When I'm trying to watch the Denver Nuggets, I go to the DNVR bar. But when I'm not working, it's my night off. I don't have Fubo TV yet, which is tough because I know that's the best way to do it. That's why I go to Harrison's house. I hide in the bushes and I look through the window.
Bro, just get Fubo.
I know that would be easier, but I also kind of like this new routine of looking through Harrison's windows. But I do that because I know he has Fubo TV, which has 140 plus live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device, and here's really the hook. Watch the most Colorado sports for the lowest price. How do I watch my favorite teams? Everyone is yelling at the sky.
You mean
Just
at
tell
Vic
the friends and family in your life to go with Fubo TV. No contract, no cable, no hassle. And we got a deal. Go to www.fubotv.com/DNVR. That's us. Sign up. Get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro.
Alrighty, we are back here. Let's do a little Western Conference.
Just real quick, it looks like Embiid's not even going to be on the 76ers injury report, so he's playing.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he's going to not.
I
on the
thought you were
plane.
too. I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
I was about to be
No, yeah.
outraged, but now I'm engaged.
Nice.
Yeah. So he's good to go.
I'm telling you,
Can't
all the
wait.
stars lining up. And it really is Coach Prime that's making him play in this. There was some, I'm telling you, he has been skipping this one every time. And there was he gets called out. I want to see that. Is Coach Prime going to be at this game?
Yes. Who's he going to be cheering for? Is the bigger question.
Coach Prime's been
man.
at one Nuggets game this year. I know the Nuggets have given him tickets, and he said he's going to be at a lot of them. He's only shown up to one.
He is totally showing up, and you're right.
Will Shador bro hug Joel Embiid? Yes, he will.
Yes, he will. 100%.
Dude, those order of the order of events leading up to this game is just hilarious. The 76ers going to Colorado State for training camp. Hilarious.
Yeah.
That just happened. Then them having a dinner and Deion Sanders calling Embiid out at the dinner. Hilarious. And it's all lining up to him playing for the first time in Denver since
Can you pull
2019.
up that comment right there.
It's just so funny, man.
the game time.
This league is hilarious.
What do you got?
No, just someone taking advantage of our ads.
Hell
About
yeah.
to purchase his ticks for Nuggets Sixers with game time.
Bring it and be. Hey, get loud tomorrow, man. Make that feel like a playoff game. I think it's going to be incredible.
Oh,
And
I'm
if you're
starting to
not
get
going
nervous
the
now.
game-
I was trying to downplay it this whole show.
And if you're not going to the game, come to the bar because that's going to be a banger. By the way, what do we
yeah,
have?
come to the bar.
Bring your lady friends. You guys can also drink bottomless mimosas, but I'm just saying I know from my wife she loves it.
All right.
I know I started to do that, and I was like, "Is this
Is
sexist?"
it not
I was
alpha
like, I
to
don't know.
drink bottomless mimosas?
No,
I
dude.
don't. I'm saying maybe it is. I don't
Wow.
even know.
I mean,
That's-
the
I love
gender
mimosas.
drinking, Adam.
But I'm just saying that's an option too on weekends.
yeah,
Let me get
he's
out of
just
this
saying, fellas. He's saying very
one.
simply,
Ladies and fellas can drink bottomless
very simply,
mimosas.
fellas. Do you want to get a fight with your lady later that night because she drank bottomless mimosas?
That's
Bring her
so
to the
true.
DNVR
Too
bar.
real. Too real. Guys, quick peek around the Western Conference. Who holds the longest win streak in the NBA right now?
The
Do you know?
Suns.
The Phoenix
Not the
Suns
Nuggets,
have won
okay.
7 in a row. Famously, the Nuggets' longest win streak of the Jokic era is 9 games.
That's right. We
the
love
Nuggets
that.
are just incapable of winning more than 3 games in a row, except for maybe once a year, usually in the finals. But the Suns have won 7 in a row, and they've been doing it with the big 3 finally on the court together and playing. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. They look pretty good. I still need to see more, but they look pretty good, man, with their offense. They put up some points, and they just, we're starting to see it. Are you, Win, feeling differently about the Suns than maybe you were a month ago?
Yeah, for sure. They've put it together. They've stayed healthy. I got to eat a little crow on the Nurkic and Ayton deal. Not from the Nurkic side, just from the
true.
Ayton side.
Have you true?
Have you seen the numbers DeAndre Ayton's
Oh.
putting up in Portland?
Dude, nobody has ever in the modern era. I don't know. Maybe Ben Simmons. Those are the 2 players that have most been the got a contract, done trying,
Bro,
publicly done trying.
he scored 20 points twice this season.
Dude, if I
In Portland on the Blazers, who have nobody
They have a
as
lot
it
of
is.
options,
my
right?
fingers are crossed that a year from now he tries the ice thing again. He's like, sorry guys, just can't make it.
Another ice
Just-
storm.
Like
Yeah,
at
just
least
like last time.
DeAndre Ayton, like you thought he'd be able to put up numbers in
Yeah.
Portland. Like that's the one thing he'd do. They'd probably be a little empty, but at least he would put up numbers. Bro scoring like 8 points in a
Well,
game.
do you remember he had that quote about what would mean success for you, and he said getting the second contract or
Yeah.
something like that? And it literally is what happened. He got a max second contract and was like, done.
Yeah.
Checked all boxes.
So I
See ya.
actually got to give some credit to
Yeah.
like Phoenix for realizing that Ayton is not that guy.
Not
were
that
right.
guy,
Now,
pal.
I don't think Yusuf Nurkic is that guy either, but DeAndre Ayton definitely not that guy.
They're scoring like crazy, though. They are looking really good, and it sucks. I
Oh,
hate
it
when our
does suck.
enemies are happy.
I know. Well, yeah. This is why before I was like, I can't count them out as much as I want. I wanted to bury them, but I couldn't.
Luckily, I feel absolutely no different at all. I'll walk back to New Jersey if that team
This
wins
is
the
your
title. Not
that's
a
your
chance.
that's
Oh,
your
yeah.
style.
Dude,
you double butt down.
Well, they're not-
Brendan's just burying landmines all over this NBA with
Yeah.
the narratives. The
Eventually they'll come
Suns,
back
the
to get me,
Celtics.
but here I
Don't
am
apologize. Double down. That's a real strategy. Second hottest team in the NBA. Well, that's the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I don't know if you guys have been paying attention lately, but they went to Minnesota and won. They went to Utah, a place that was beating everybody there for a while, and they got that win. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. They play Portland and San Antonio. They smacked those two teams. This is another team, like, I don't know, they're just on the rise. Is Denver going to catch them, in your opinion? Do you think, like, that's the real question. Is I
How
think
many
we all
games
looked at
back
them,
are they?
A half a game.
Oh.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
one game. You still, but I'm telling you, we're more than halfway through, and they keep winning. In fact, they're getting better as the year goes on.
The Denver's going to beat them in the game that they play head-to-head. That will account for the one game, and then they just have to match them. I think so. I mean, listen, don't discount the fact that the Nuggets, well, gosh, I just thought...
You just thought it through, and you're like, I don't know, they might not.
more. There's a good chance the Nuggets shut it down the second half of the year.
Here's what I think.
Yeah,
I think
they have zero lessons to learn.
I think
as
the
we've already
Nuggets want home
established.
court advantage against the Timberwolves.
That's
I do
it.
too.
I don't think they care about the Thunder.
That's my hope, though, is that
Nor
so the
should
difference
they.
is last year around this time Memphis was slipping. Denver basically put a dagger in it.
That's right. Yeah.
And then
Oh,
they shut it down
yeah.
because they had the 1 seed locked up.
Yeah.
They don't have that this year. You might be 100% right anyway, Eric, but my fingers are crossed that they're going to go for that because of that Wolves matchup.
I think the Thunder are going to win like 57, 58 games. I don't know if Denver is. They can, but I don't know that they are going to. And I think the Thunder will because they're really good. They have a lot of ways to beat you. And while I think that their playoff ceiling, I'm still skeptical. I still think Denver matches up really well and will beat them. But I just think they're designed to win a lot of regular season games. They have young, hungry guys. Everything's new to them. Like, you look at Murray. How motivated is he? He's been through this circus a million times. All these young guys, it's the first time they've ever been here. They're so excited to play every night.
Yeah. Have you seen some of those post-game interviews with the Thunder?
Dude, the vibes are on 100.
The
They're in that sweet
vibes
spot.
are so high in OKC, man.
I do think, too, and I don't mean this, everyone's right about them. I just haven't gone through it with the Nuggets. I would say to the fans, not that they're listening, like soak that up and enjoy every second of it. Because even if they go on to win a title, this may very well still be the peak fun,
Yeah.
right? Because the vibes are just what could go wrong for that house of cards to take a tumble. Like they just look so happy every day.
If we go back all the way a month, the hottest team in the NBA has been the LA Clippers, who have only lost 2 games in the last 30 days. They lost to the Lakers, hilariously, and they also lost to the Timberwolves in Minnesota. Both of those games on the road, although the Lakers game on the road, not, different court. But they have won every other game that they've played. They've been extremely hot. They actually play like a team, which is a little crazy. And I'm on record saying I think the Clippers are actually Minnesota and the Clippers are the 2 teams that I think are the toughest matchup for Denver. And by the way, when you say, is Denver going to gun with Oklahoma City? Well, look at the standings, fellas. Clippers are right there behind Denver 1 game with half a season to go. They're going to have to hold off the Clippers 2 for home court advantage.
I think they're going to start to feel the heat a little bit. And
That would be a good thing.
The thing that I love is that, or hate, I can't decide, is that they did respond during this really tough stretch. They not against obviously the Knicks, but they did show up and they did play hard. They did reveal to us again that they are who we thought they were. I'm hoping that is a trend that is not just, it's not just a here and there and sometimes, but I think that like it's been, you guys said, I think pride is at some point going to kick in for this team and they want to be taken seriously. They are the champs, but nobody knows that except for us. Like nobody, it's already been completely forgotten. The Nuggets are right back to where they were, except for the fact that people will actually watch their games. But as far as the NBA, the larger NBA is concerned, the Nuggets may as well have never won a championship. So I'm hoping that actually registers with them and they want to take it to that level.
Well, one thing that's interesting about the standings right now, Wind, is the Nuggets play Philly, Milwaukee, Oklahoma City. That's 3 of the 4 or 5 best teams in all of the NBA. They play them in a row. If Denver were to go 0-3, do you know where they would be in the standings in the loss column?
They go down to 4th.
They
or
would be
5th.
down to 7th.
Oh, that's further.
They have 15 losses. The 7th place Kings have 18. So if you go 0-3 on the stretch, like you talk about filling the heat, even if you go 2-1 or 1-2, you're right now in that top clump, and they're not that far removed from being in the middle clump. And so these games do have an extra little meaning to them, just both in that they're measuring stick games, but also, and again, this stuff will all level out over time.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things where the Nuggets can wake up in 1 week from today and be like, oh shit, we're in the 7th seed? We're in the 6th seed?
That's the problem with the Knicks loss, right? Not what it tells you about the team, but that they don't have as much runway for those losses as they did last year. That's
Right.
my only point.
Yeah.
And I do think that they're good enough to beat a lot of these teams without home court. But I think when you're Denver and you're as good as you are at home and you do have the altitude advantage, I do hope that they seize this opportunity, because a top 3 seed is still very important in my opinion.
And the Clippers are right there. They're a game back of Denver right now.
Yeah.
And I'd actually say right now, I think the Clippers are the toughest matchup in the West for the Nuggets.
I think that's a great take.
I've put them above Minnesota, who I've got some questions about the Timberwolves developing off a couple of these late game situations that I've watched
they
them
can't
in
score
over the last week. Their offense is in the 20s. Their defense is great, but you just really wonder if they'll be able to keep up with an offense like the Nuggets. I've still got a lot of questions about Karl Anthony Towns in the playoffs. I've got a lot of questions about Anthony Edwards being just the only guy who really wants to shoot the ball for them late in clutch time.
Yeah.
I just have some questions about Minnesota in late game, close games in the playoffs. And I would be more scared of the Clippers right now. I would be.
Yeah. Your comments on the Timberwolves are very they're dying in the clutch right now because of that offense. They don't quite have it. And then, they're hitting that adversity. We'll see how they survive it. Lastly, you guys, I wanted to get out. D-Line hated this one, but I wanted to do it anyway. It is the anniversary of Kobe passing away. I know Kobe's a complicated figure to a lot of people in Colorado, and rightfully so. I don't want to tell you how to feel about Kobe. Everybody can kind of feel their own way. He's also an influential figure just on the game. Really, one of the most influential figures on the game. And maybe if you just talk about modern players, he might be the single most. There used to be Jordan for a lot of time. The Jordan era is so far removed now that most players, it's Kobe, this or that. And I will say, and I've said this before, but I always wish we had Kobe around right now, just because I wish I could hear what he would say about Jokic. I think he would have loved Jokic. We know he predicted him to be the MVP, and he went on to become MVP twice. I wish we could have seen what his take was on Jokic and the Nuggets winning a title. I really wish I knew what he said about Murray. If you guys remember, in the year before he died, he had a camp where he just invited NBA players. And, of course, if you get invited to Kobe's camp, you're going. Murray was on a short list of players. It was like Devin Booker. I mean, it was like all the top young players. I don't even remember if Anthony Edwards was there, but it was all the young players that were invited there. And I just wish, I honestly think Murray's game is more like Kobe's than just about anybody in the league. He has more Kobe to his game because it's more footwork-based, post-based, And I wish that he was around because I honestly wonder what he would have thought of Murray. I know he would have loved him in the playoffs, but I wonder if he'd be sitting around watching that Knicks game and being like, really? OG too good for you? You don't know how to handle that? You can't play 2 good games in a row? I honestly think that was Kobe was segueing into the Yoda role of the NBA. In a way that would have been like good and bad because he was a little crazy also and he had some takes that I don't necessarily agree with. But in this specific example, I just genuinely wish I could know what he thought about those 2 guys.
Does anybody in the NBA have more Mamba mentality than Nikola Jokic?
I've said this a lot, man. The guy has a routine he doesn't break. He's obvious. I mean, he just hides it. Unlike Kobe, who would broadcast it to the world, and most players who broadcast it to the world. But I think this is why Kobe liked him.
Yeah.
I think it's why he said
saw
MVP when Jokic had never been higher than 3rd on the MVP, and it was so out of left field. It'd be like who would the equivalent be of getting that challenge right now? It'd be like, I don't know, not quite a Chet Holmgren. It'd be a higher than that up on the.
I was
list.
thinking Edwards.
It might, but people see that coming a little more.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd be Şengün. Like, you know what I mean? Where people are like, what? Yo,
Was it
MVP.
the year Jokic finished 4th?
Yeah.
That he said it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the year after that, actually. It was the year after that.
Right.
But
After
Giannis, the
he
league kind of
finished
felt like.
4th.
So my whole point is I wish we could see it. And then on top of that, I wish we could see. Dude.
Maybe it's a.
You know how much it bothers me that all these players are
Yeah, I
getting
don't even
fans
know.
thrown out right now. You guys, I hate it. I just wish he was around to tell all these guys quit being dorks, quit being Karens. Like, shut
the
up.
Karenization of
Like,
the NBA.
is he hurting your feelings in there? Like, you don't like when other guys talk trash to you? Like, I just feel like a Kobe type competitor would see Luka telling a guy and being like, so he doesn't like, gets in his head when you
Yeah,
talk
dude.
trash to him. Noted. Like, I'm going to talk trash to that dude.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I wish I could see what he thinks of the in-season tournament, because this is my chance to get takes. I love giving in-season tournament takes off. The further we get removed from the
Oh,
in-season
it's so
tournament,
ridiculous.
the further we get from it, the more I just feel like that was really dumb. And I'm telling you, the Lakers winning it, we all joked about what would it be like if like some bottom feeder won it. One did. It was the Lakers. They won it. And by the way, the Clippers just played 2 games in 9 days. Do you know why? Because this stupid in-season tournament has made this year's schedule so dumb. There's so many dumb games on the schedule. They play 7 and 11 after playing 2 and 9. And I just look at, the more I get away from it, the more I'm like, well, they hung a banner for the Lakers. Everybody thought that was dumb. And the further we get away from it, the more we're like, I don't know. The only benefit was in the moment we enjoyed the fact that teams were playing hard. But that to me is like the dumbest. Now, the further you get away from it, they're like, oh, so we have to trick guys into playing hard all year round, and that's the only lasting legacy of this IST.
How many years until that banner gets covered up?
A year. I honestly think that in a year, maybe 2 years' time, they're like, take it down. This is
They're gonna silently remove it, not let
Totally.
anybody know,
totally.
and then we're all gonna be like, wait, it's gone.
It's because next year some team's gonna load manage the final. They're gonna be like, you know what, the Pacers decided to sit.
Some team's gonna opt out of Vegas.
Yeah, just be like, we don't want to do
We're
this.
opting out.
And if Kobe would have said it, Adam Silver would have listened. And he probably would have. He would have been in Staples Center being like, what are they doing with that stupid banner? Get that out of here.
Yeah.
Any other takes? Final thoughts? Departing thoughts?
No.
All right.
I'm excited for tomorrow.
3 o'clock. If you guys want to come down here and have a little brunch, it's so good to be amongst your
Dude,
people.
it was so fun last time.
It really was.
It was really
The
like,
bar was so
It felt like the
locked
playoffs.
please
in.
come. Please come.
Nobody was talking. Everybody was just watching
No,
the game.
it was great. It truly, like, if you want to feel as though you are at the game without being at the game, this is the spot to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit that like button for us on the way out. Thanks for hanging with us all week. Adios.
We all silly like the mayor.